My best Halloween costume was when I was like too old to trick or treat. I put on brown pants and a green shirt, and everyone, when I went to their house for candy, was like, what are you? And I was like, I'm a tree.
You and that kid.
Hi, Jericho.
Hello.
When you're selling online, getting your orders out the door quickly can be tough. That's why you need ShipStation.com. It's the fast and easy way to manage and ship your orders, all from one place. ShipStation helps get your orders out quickly and keep your customers happy. Whether you're on Shopify, Squarespace, Etsy, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, or over 75 other popular selling channels, ShipStation brings all your orders together into one simple interface. You can run your business from your phone. ShipStation creates shipping labels for all the top carriers, including UPS, USPS, and FedEx. No wonder ShipStation's the #1 choice of online sellers.
No wonder.
Right now, you can try ShipStation free for 30 days and get an additional month free only if you use our exclusive promo code GIRLBOSS. Don't wait. Go to ShipStation.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in GIRLBOSS. That's ShipStation.com, ShipStation.com. Enter GIRLBOSS. ShipStation. Make ship happen. Success. It's such a complicated idea, and yet for so long we've all collectively subscribed to a single definition of the word, which was likely given to us by a white-haired dude somewhere in a boardroom in the 1960s. And there's nothing wrong with that definition, with the notion of climbing a corporate ladder with a singular focus. But it's time to make space for a few other definitions, for side hustles and well-being and failing forward, and for the idea that success is a wild ride, not the destination at the end of it. Join me for a journey into the lives of women who are redefining success and paving the way for others with grit and grace. I'm Sophia Amoruso, the founder and CEO of Girlboss Media, and this is Girlboss Radio. Today we welcome Garance Doré to the podcast. She's an illustrator, writer, and photographer, and the brilliantly creative mind behind AtelierDoré.com.
All right, Eiffel Tower. Enough cliches. Let's bite right into Paris Fashion Week.
Garance was born and raised in Corsica. After taking jobs that were not creatively fulfilling, Garance started her career as an illustrator before launching a fashion blog that would eventually gain millions of followers and land this fashion outsider a front row seat at runway shows around the globe.
The first few years, it was interesting to see these people kind of being very like, oh no, I don't take photos, da, da, da. And then slowly looking at photos of themselves and falling in love with the idea of being little stars. And it's funny when you look at with Instagram now, where everybody's like, please take my photo, because like forward like 5 years later and people were running after me for me to take their photo.
And she is simply the epitome of chic, radiating a relaxed style. Chatting with Garance was refreshing. We're kindred spirits of sorts. We're a couple of stinky punk rockers who found ourselves wearing fancy heels.
I was like cutting my clothes to make them look cooler and like all that. I always loved fashion. Like the music I was listening to was always more independent and all these kind of things. And then I realized the fashion that I got kind of thrown into was more commercial and all that, but I still love fashion.
Today we'll talk with Garance about her site, Atelier Doré, a website where other women can share their own voices on fashion and lifestyle issues.
We want to talk to a woman about how can she find happiness, how can she find a place of no pressure where she can make her own decision.
We'll talk about following your passion and doing what you love, and we'll also talk about my favorite Corsican restaurant in LA. But first, let's welcome Girlboss editorial director Jericho Mandybur. Hey, Jericho.
Hey!
So it's another week at the Girlboss headquarters.
Yes, and this week we're listening to a lot of goth 80s music because
it's almost Halloween.
That's how you have to say it. So yeah, Halloween.
Is this your first Halloween?
It's my first Halloween ever. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. I've already made everybody at Girlboss change their Slack names to spooky puns. You may have noticed. Where's your spooky pun?
I didn't get that memo.
Oh, okay. There's still time, don't worry.
I'm so Yeah, ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
Is that spooky? Yeah. Ah, oh yeah. No, okay, that's spooky.
Screenface. Yeah.
Got it. Wait, so, but there's some kind of, I mean, you guys kind of celebrate Halloween in Australia, or?
It's like a thing that exists, and like every year you'll get one random group of kids come to your house, but they're usually like 13-year-old boys, and they're not really in costume. They just want candy, and you're like, this isn't a thing here, like, don't even try me. So yeah, this is a real Halloween for me, and I'm so excited. And I also just think Halloween's the only holiday, like personally, it's the only holiday that doesn't have any weird family like pain associated with it. It's not like, oh, it's such a headache, Halloween. It's just fun, and you get to dress up and party, and it's the time of the year when there's the best house parties. So we put together a playlist of spooky and awesome, like moody goth songs, and there's a few novelty songs in there as well.
What are your favorites?
Well, we had to put in Werewolf Bar Mitzvah, which is the novelty song from 30 Rock that Donald Glover wrote. Do you know that one?
No.
Oh, it's cute. It's about boys becoming men, men becoming wolves.
Oh, cool.
And we also have like serious goth songs like Sisters of Mercy and Depeche Mode and stuff. Also Monster Mash and Thriller and some Janet Jackson. There's a lot of Michael and Janet.
Is there any Cramps?
Yeah, there's a Cramps.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you should probably add, if you haven't, Rocky Erickson's I Walked with a Zombie.
No, I will add that.
I walked with a zombie. Ba-na-na-na. I walked with a zombie.
I'm not familiar.
I walked with a zombie last night.
I mean, I got excited, but that was really good. You should do more office singing.
I have like a penchant for quote-unquote evil music.
Yeah.
Because it's like actually just really funny and kind of sweet when people just try to like
sing
about evil
try
and
to
stuff.
represent evil.
It's like actually like a very Christian or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's adorable.
Not that dark.
I know, because I've been playing this. So it's on Spotify, and we're Girlboss Media. If you want to follow us on Spotify and then listen to our spooky mix. But yeah, there's stuff like Rob Zombie.
Oh no!
And I keep playing it in the office, and everyone's laughing because it's like, it's just silly.
Yeah.
Like once you're not 15 anymore, you're like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, like heavy music is actually like funny and like happy. It makes me like, yeah. Happy Halloween.
You too.
Thanks. All right, that's enough about Halloween. I want to talk about a really exciting partnership with Pinterest that we're kicking off for the next 2 months called What If Wednesdays.
What If Wednesday?
All right, listen up. I know I said partnership, but this is something that is good for you, good for your life, and also you have a chance to win some pretty cool stuff, so keep listening. And really, the prompt here is, what if you actually did the thing that you said you'll do?
Crazy. What if?
So I know that keeping your productivity up, practicing your self-care, living your best life, which we're all aiming to do, and all of the content we create at girlboss.com and on this podcast is there to help you and all of us just having to write it and live it out every day is what we're here to do. I struggle with staying motivated and on track. The smallest thing can throw me off, and I'm sure you are the same way. So for the next 2 months, we're going to be motivating you to take the one day of the week that sucks and make it a day to try new things. And what is that day, Jericho?
I believe you're referring to Wednesday.
Yeah, hump day. We've partnered with Pinterest to help you get started on the small things that will lead to the big moves. So for the next 2 months, we're going to be asking you with the hashtag What If Wednesday?
Yes, we'll be encouraging you to try new things on Pinterest by offering you a challenge on this show every week. Listeners can hit up Girlboss's What If Wednesday Pinterest board where they'll get their inspiration, and then they basically just get out there and do the damn thing. So use the hashtag What If Wednesday and hashtag Girlboss Radio and hashtag my Pinterest on Instagram to share your tries. We're going to be sharing ours too, and it's going to be fun.
Each week, we're going to read our favorite hashtag What If Wednesday entries from you. So get ready to hear your words come out of our mouths. And aside from sharing your own,
which, to be honest, I'll be doing. I'm nervous about it.
Same.
We'll also share some favorites on social media, and every week, 3 listeners will win a signed copy of my new book, The Girlboss Workbook.
Yay! And if you participate in the next few weeks, you could also be one of 2 lucky people to win free tickets to the next Girlboss rally in New York City.
It's pretty cool. So let's start. Here's the question. What if you tried something new to boost your productivity this week? Jericho, what makes you feel productive?
I'll tell you what makes me feel productive. Going to bed confident because I've got my power outfit for the next day ready. I've laid it out the night before. It's looking good. I'm feeling powerful. I'm ready to go. So this week, we're challenging you to find your power outfit so you're ready for anything.
I can't wait to see your power outfit, Jericho. To get started, our hashtag What If Wednesday Pinterest board is full of outfit inspiration. And remember to share your experience on Instagram using the hashtags What If Wednesday and hashtag Girlboss Radio, as well as hashtag My Pinterest, so we can share your power outfit ideas, feature you on the website, read about your What If Wednesday on Girlboss Radio, give you free books, and possibly send you to the New York Girlboss Rally on November 11th.
It's like a quadruple win.
And just in case you don't know how to spell, it's hashtag WHATIFWEDNESDAY.
Yay!
Yay! We talk a lot about self-care on this show, and one of the things that's a really big part of self-care is sleep. Most of our time is spent working, and the second most, amount of time we spend doing anything is sleeping. Mm-hmm. So having sheets that you feel honor your commitment to taking care of yourself is an important thing. And I don't think that's shallow consumerism. I think it's important. So I want to talk about Parachute Home because you're obsessed, right, Jericho?
I'm so obsessed. Let's do it.
Okay. Your favorite sheets?
The best sheets in the world.
My favorite sheets. I love Parachute Home. They are the softest, comfiest sheets you'll ever own, with the best quality, made from the best fabrics and materials. They're made in family-owned factories in Europe. They're super chic, clean, minimal in design. The colors
cozy,
are neutral, beautiful, modern, Instagram ready. They're responsibly made. They're all natural. There's no harmful chemicals or synthetic softeners. And they just get softer and softer with time. You can visit parachutehome.com/girlboss for free shipping and returns. That's parachutehome.com/girlboss. parachute.com/girlboss. And they offer a 60-night trial. Sleep in your sheets for 60 nights, and if you're not satisfied, send them back, no questions asked. That's parachutehome.com/girlboss. And now a woman who the New York Times Magazine has coined the guardian of all style. With a unique blend of photos, videos, illustrations, and writing, Garance Doré has established a distinctive point of view and close relationship with her readers through her site, atelierDoré.com. Here's Garance Doré.
Garance, welcome to Girlboss Radio.
Thank you.
Before we set this up, I didn't realize that you had moved to Los Angeles, and so we're both Angelinos. Mm-hmm. We're here actually for a special recording of Girlboss Radio at our new offices in Silver Lake.
That's pretty cool offices, I have to say.
Thank you.
I have kind of office envy.
You're Corsican.
Yeah.
Did you grow up on Corsica?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I come from the bottom of the ass of the world, as we say in France. It's very not like LA. But actually, it's a little bit like LA because it's like good weather, palm trees, the sea, the Mediterranean and all that. So,
but it's also not France.
Not really. It's France.
Corsicans are very kind of firm on we're not French and we're not Italian.
Yeah, I think you would like Corsicans from what I know about you.
I think I might.
Yeah, they're very rebellious. When people talk about them, they say they're very rebellious. And also they say they're lazy. I don't think you're lazy, but they're definitely
rebellious and lazy.
Yeah. They like to take naps. I know. Because they always defended the island from, it was conquered so many times. It was Italian, it was French, it was Moresque, it was because it's so beautiful and it's also very strategically placed in the middle of the Mediterranean. So, so they built kind of a character like that.
I mean, I know you as a New Yorker. I feel like you're such a New Yorker, and you were there for so long, right?
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you leave Corsica?
So I left Corsica when I was 17.
Okay.
Actually, I went to spend a year abroad,
Off the island,
to a high school, and I went too crazy. So I came back to spend another year. So I wanted to leave very early. So I left when I was 16, and then I came back to spend my last year, like past my baccalaureate, which is, I don't know, the last year of high school. I don't know how you call that. And then I left again and went to do my studies in the south of France, in Aix-en-Provence and Marseille.
Did you enjoy college?
It was the worst.
Did you graduate?
Barely. Like, I just like, it's like that system where each year is a different type of diploma. So, like, I just didn't finish the last year.
Okay, so you're maybe almost a dropout, maybe.
Yes. I mean, at the end, I am a dropout because my last year, I was supposed to do memoir. Is that how you call it here? Like this thesis. And I didn't do it.
You might be rebellious and lazy.
I am very lazy for sure, I think. And I am sort of I'm the quiet rebellious where I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I just disappear.
When did you start your blog?
So I started it in 2006.
And what led you to do that? Why did, that's early for blogging.
Yeah. Well, I was just desperate in every way. My life was like, it was a car crash, like in the sense of like everybody around me was disappointed. Everybody, like my parents, my friends had such high expectations, and I had studied for a while, and I was like lazy, so I didn't work enough. So I never there was like, I was used to being such a good learner at school. I was always good and all that, but the university was too complicated, and I didn't want to work, so I wanted to party and all that. So I did that for a while, and then I started, I was in a sort of punk rock scene, and so we started organizing concerts and just like that kind of life, which doesn't bring any social validation to your parents and to anything, and I was not making any money, and I was like, oh, not making money is fine. I was like, I read your book, so I feel like there is some stuff that kind of are a little bit similar. Like I was thrift shopping, and and then I was like, I always wanted to be an artist. And I was actually very frustrated because my parents didn't want me to do that. So it was that whole like battle of being a good girl, being a firstborn. So, very like, how can I say, like trying to be very nice with my parents, and so I did what they wanted until I was 27. So pretty late. And that's when I was like, fuck it. I'm going to die if I don't try to be an artist. And that's when I left everything I was doing. I was always working. I was a supervisor in Marseille, when kids are like from 11 to 15, 16.
Like middle school / high school.
Yeah. So I was a supervisor in the worst school of Marseille, and Marseille is a very violent city. So I was dealing with like violent kids every day. That was my job. And it was a kind of a hard job, but I was very good at it with authority and all that. And it was very small hours and pretty well paid. So I could have stayed there and I could have said, I'm going to be an illustrator. I'm going to keep that job on the side. But when I decided to really do it, I was like, no, I'm quitting everything. I'm going to put myself in danger financially. So I'm just going to have to kick my own ass. And that's how I started being an illustrator. 2 years later, I was still like, now I was a failed illustrator.
Oh no. What do you,
well, it just takes time. That's what I said to everybody, that just being an illustrator is just not one of these, like, you're going to be a shooting star. It's just like, you have to learn your craft. It takes a while.
Did you always draw?
Yeah, always. And after 2 years, I was like, something's happening, but it was so slow. And like, I always tell that story that I started doing it. And that's when I realized, the first times I had commissions, I realized how little they were paying, like $100 for a page in a magazine. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to, like, I had not made any plans. I had just been like, I'm going to be an illustrator. Sounds like the type of job that I want. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something. I'm desperate now. I'm broke. My life sucks. My parents are like just depressed because of me, and I'm getting older, and I was like, I don't want to let go of everything right away. Last chance, I'm going to open a blog and see what happens.
And so you started taking pictures?
No, I started the blog only with illustrations. And it's funny, like the story is pretty long and there's many things, but the story is that, so I was doing these very elaborate illustrations for magazines. So imagine being paid $100 and the illustration would take me 2 weeks to do, because it was like imagine like tattoo, and I was like, okay, this is not working. It's not going to work. I'm going to open a blog. I'm going to give myself that I have to post 3 times a week, and each illustration has to take me not more than 1 hour. If it's not finished after an hour, I have to publish it, which would make me like mortified. And so that was just that. And one day I remember I published an illustration and put a little like story with it, and people reacted so much. And that, and very soon, I think 3 weeks after I opened it, another blogger saw what I was doing. And then it was just like this kind of snowball effect. Like it just kept being bigger and bigger and bigger.
And this was the era of like Susie Bubble.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Garance was born Marilyn Fiore, and when she started illustrating, she sketched under a nom de web inspired by the 19th century illustrator Gustave Doré. Her original illustrations have been featured by Louis Vuitton, Dior, Kate Spade, and Gap.
When did your blog become more than just illustrations?
Okay, so it started becoming a lot text heavy, like more text, like what I do, that I still do today, is like stories of my life, very soon. And that's what got people to notice like what I was doing and really like get into it. And so that was my first like wave of success. It's just people reading my stories and loving my illustrations and all, like getting into that. And at that time I was still living in Marseille. Oh, I didn't tell you, but it might be interesting because this is Girlboss. But like at that time, I had learned something from my 2 or 3 years as an illustrator. And it was that anytime I would say I come from Marseille, people would just be like, okay, not interested.
Why?
Because it's probably like when you're in New York and you say, oh, I live in like, I don't know, like some bun of the world, like.
French people judged you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I hear Marseille and I hear a French accent and I'm like,
Oh, no. In France, it's like, yeah. No, in France, it's like super centralized, everything. If you're not from Paris, it's just, you're not cool. So when I opened my blog, I changed my name, and I also told myself I'll never tell anyone where I live. And it's easy online, right? And so obviously because I didn't say where I was living, people assumed I was living in Paris. So magazines started to call me and were like, hey, can you come this afternoon? And I was there with my big fat lie, and I was like, nah, I can't come. I'm too busy, because I didn't have money to like take the train right away or something. So I was like kind of making appointments together, and every month I would go to Paris and like pretend I was a Parisienne. But at some point it became too much, and I was like, I have to move to Paris. And I didn't have any money still, but I was like, something's happening, I have to go. And I packed whatever I had, and I found like a small place, and that's how I moved to Paris. I don't remember what was your question, but that's.
When did it become more than illustrations?
Yes. So I moved to Paris and then started, it's funny because in Marseille I was like one of the cool girls, right? And then I go to Paris and I'm like such a loser. And I walk down the streets and I see all these beautiful girls and all that. And that's when I started like being like, oh, I want to be cool like that. And I started, I had this like shitty camera and I started taking photos. And then a friend of mine was like, oh, you should go to Fashion Week. And that's how I started.
Were you always interested in fashion? What was your first fashion week like?
I was always interested in fashion. Like always. Like I would watch fashion TV in Corsica. I always read all the magazines. When I was 14, I encountered ID and the face and all that. And I was like, this is me. That's my life. I was like, like cutting my clothes to make them look cooler and like all that. So I always loved fashion. Like the music I was listening to was always more independent and all these kind of things. And then I realized the fashion that I got kind of thrown into was more a lot of, commercial and all that. But, I've always loved and I still love fashion. I have a lot of different opinions about it now.
Garance's stance on fashion is always acute and entertaining. Her fans include both fashion elite and aspirational fashion lovers. But how did she break in? Having a passion for fashion or music is different than going for years of training and education, so it's easy to feel like an imposter.
What was your first fashion week like? What shows did you go to?
I sneaked into a few shows, and my first fashion week, I was so fascinated. I was looking at all these people, and I was like, where have I been in my life? They are so chic.
Were they nice?
They were very nice with me, some of them.
I've actually heard, because people in Paris don't have the best reputation for being nice, but I've heard that the people at Paris Fashion Week are nicer than the people at New York Fashion Week.
Yeah, and New York Fashion Week is just a crazy monster. It's weird. But no, like people were nice. And also I think I was kind of how do you call that? Like an ovni, as you say in France. Like, they had never seen anything like me. Like I was kind of cute with my camera outside. It used to be only Japanese, like, street style magazines outside of fashion shows. There was no other type of photographers. And like, I was
French
always,
girl with a camera.
Yeah, French girl with a camera. And I was actually, probably like, nobody does that anymore. But I was actually going to talk with them and be like, okay, let's do a photo. My photos were very kind of editorialized. I was like, you never see it was always like, in a beautiful Paris environment. So there was a little bit like, it would take 5 minutes and the people would then see the photos and like them. And it was very interesting because the first few years it was interesting to see these people kind of being very like, oh no, I don't take photos, and then slowly looking at photos of themselves and falling in love with the idea of being little stars. And it's funny when you look at with Instagram now, where everybody's like, please take my photo, because like forward like 5 years later, and people were running after me for me to take their photo. But the beginning was just like, I had my way of having people say yes, and it's true that as soon as they saw the photos, they were like, okay, I'll do it for you.
At what point did you really start to make money?
When I got to Paris, I got so fucking lucky. I was so broke, like seriously broke. And I got a call from AOL and they offered me a job of like writing, I think it was 3 small stories a week or 2. And it was the equivalent of a salary that I got. I mean, for me, it was like I could pay my rent. And that was like maybe 1 or 2 months after getting to Paris. So like suddenly all my problems were solved. And trust me, I didn't need much more than that. I always say that to people, and you probably have the same things. Like, I've been very happy with 0 money. Like, I've had a great life where I just learn how to do. But living in Paris was more difficult. So I was never it's never been my goal to like make millions. But that was great because from that I could build something. I could pay my rent. I could pay for my life, basically. It gave me independence. And I kept that job for, I think, 2 or 3 years.
Garance Doré has creatively collaborated with clients including Chloe, Louis Vuitton, Celine, Dior, Prada, Chopard, Tiffany & Co., Max Mara, Kate Spade, Moschino, Petit Bateau, Bonpoint, David Yurman, L'Oreal, MAC, Estee Lauder, Gap, J. Crew, Club Monaco, Glamour. Holy shit. Most recently, she launched her namesake brand with a line of stationery and gifts.
What are the variety of things that you spend your time working on now?
It's such a mess. I mean, I was just talking to my partner this morning and I was like, I have a hard time going through my days. It's just too much of different stuff at the same time because it's almost like I couldn't make a list for you of everything I do. it's just like, now we're working on my house because this and that, and it becomes like a whole like work project. And then there is, I want to write I have some projects of writing more stories for other magazines, and I want to pitch some TV like project, and I want to do that, so I have to work on these things. But meanwhile, my studio needs me, and I have to, and it's just, and so it's funny because literally this morning, Emily, my partner, was just telling me, listen, you have to, like, you're gonna, because I had a burnout 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm trying to not get back there. She was like, why don't you do that thing? And I was going to talk about it with Emma, my assistant. I was like, okay, so maybe we do Monday is for, social media, like, all the things that I want to do. Because social media is a full-time job, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Very much.
If you want to do it like in a good way. And I was looking at what I do and I was like, oh, I want to do so much better than that. So much better. I have so many things to say, but I can't find the time. And so, why don't you do Monday this, and then Tuesday, like, writing and illustrating? Because I never have time to illustrate anymore, and it's awful. And then, maybe appointments Thursdays. I don't know. We were trying to come up with a thing, but all that to say, readjustments constantly. There is never a moment. And I just moved too, so I used to have, my team is like, we're 12, I think, or 13, and like, I used to have a full team in New York, and here, like, I enjoyed, like, for a few months just being alone, like, in the beginning. And now I'm like, like, I have Emma, and now I'm like, well, I would need someone to do this and that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to build another, it grows.
12 is a great number.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a great sized team.
Yeah, but you've known bigger than that. For me, that's all.
It's like after 50, it gets really because you don't know everyone's names. Yeah. There's new people all the time. There becomes more turnover. It's just like the nature of there being more people. I think anything under 40 like feels really good. Mm-hmm. If you can like fill up like a small bar or like a bowling alley, When did you become a boss, I guess? When did you hire your first employee, and what was that like?
Well, it's the first time it was weird. It's just someone came to me and was like, you probably need an assistant. For me, it was a very tough moment because I was very scared of, taking such a step forward. But the second he came, and he just like texted me like on Facebook or something, and he was like, do you need someone? I can translate for you. I can work for you. I live in Paris. I'll do whatever. And I was like, okay, do it. And so he was my first assistant. And then I think once you've done that, it's easier to be like, okay, I need another person for this and that.
All right, let's stop here. What is it that prevents us from doing what we love? Is it fear of failure? Not knowing how we're going to pay the bills? How many of us stay in jobs that make us miserable? Coming up, we'll find out what made Garance Doré decide to leave New York and move to LA. But first, let's talk about underwear. Underwear is important.
So important.
And it should be comfortable. That's why MeUndies is the most comfortable pair of underwear you will ever own. Another millennial-run company, by us, for us, that makes stuff that we want. MeUndies has tons of different colors and styles to fit whatever your preference is. Boys, short, bikini, thong. And their fabric is sustainably sourced, and it is 3 times softer than cotton. They have a lot of different colors and styles. Solids, patterns, brights, lace. And once you feel MeUndies for yourself, you'll love them. They are so, so comfortable. And right now, MeUndies has an exclusive offer just for Girlboss Radio listeners. Get 20% off your first pair and free shipping. And MeUndies is so sure you will love their underwear, they're even offering a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You order a pair, and if you don't love your first pair, you'll get a free refund. Wear the underwear.
Send it on back.
Send it on back. This is a no-brainer. You guys, 20% off, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. What is your butt waiting for? To get your 20% off, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/girlboss. That's MeUndies.com/girlboss. And this is for a limited time. Start wearing the best underwear of your life. I know my butt has thanked me. Let yours too. Go to MeUndies.com/girlboss right now. And now back to writer, illustrator, and style influencer Garance Doré.
So you mentioned burnout. I mean, how did that happen? What did it feel like, and how did you get out of it?
Yeah, it's it's weird because I think the reason why I burned out is obviously it's just so many layers. But let's say obviously not taking care of myself, obviously overworking. But I think the main thing that made me burn out is to keep doing things that I didn't like to do. And that's what I was saying earlier. Is like it can be in small things, like it's 1 p.m. I'm still answering emails. Suddenly I want to shout and like throw myself at the window. I think I was just keep going to Fashion Week because that's what you're supposed to do when you're a fashion blogger, I guess. And had been identified with that so much, and I had a boyfriend that was like, Fashion Week is so important.
People are pretty judgy in fashion.
Yeah, and it's just that weird thing. We can talk about it for forever. It's just like people gathered in a hot or like cold place, like with a lot of noise and people looking at them, and they're exhausted, and then they're on a shitty bench, and then they have to wait for an hour and a half to see like 10 girls like that look depressed. Well, I just like, of course there's going to be weird relationships and people are going to build bad, reputations. It's just, it drives
like
people
grown
crazy.
Adults arguing over a piece of bench.
That was the story of my life. Every Fashion Week, that's the main focus.
Do you still go?
No.
When did you stop? When did you stop? Yeah, you are.
I think I made it pretty official this Fashion Week, but I actually have kind of been like faking it. Not faking, but just like
photoshopping yourself.
Yeah, photoshopping myself
by the Eiffel Tower.
Kind of like going around it, but not going so much to fashion shows, going to like one or two. It was just like, I used to go to all the shows, and then I was like, okay, I had my burnout, and yeah, so I stopped going and I feel way better. And now I look at the shows because I still want to know what's going on, and I'm like, I can't believe how long I did something that was counter nature to me, because I'm just too honest to do that. I can't do the fake, like, hi, oh my God, how are you? I'm so happy to see you.
I'm hugging you. Let's hug.
Yeah. Let's take a selfie. Oh my God. So I can't just, like, I'm sitting there and I feel like destroyed inside.
What is my life's purpose?
Yeah, exactly. I would come every night, I would be crying. Like, it was just like, but, when you come from nowhere and you've been given such an opportunity, and like everybody's like, oh my God, like you're so lucky, you go to fashion shows, you're sitting next to Rihanna, and like all of a sudden I'm like, it's awful to be sitting next to Rihanna. You don't understand.
Yeah, it's like, just we're not friends.
Yeah, like, exactly. And it's just like, but you don't want to.
So impressed, like, by celebrity.
I understand it.
Attending fashion shows seems glamorous, but it isn't always the case.
So you can't complain, right? So you can't say like, oh, I don't like it. So I never really did. But actually everybody complains when they're in the shows and when they're not being interviewed and all that. So at some point I was like, okay, that's when I burned out. I was in Paris and I was supposed to go to another show. Also, let's talk about the drama of being dressed, getting dressed every day in a different outfit because you're going to get shot. And like, I never was so into I was the photographer. There's always a reason why you're a photographer. It's because you like to see things, and being in front of the camera has never been something that I don't mind it. And I actually love, like, I used to have, and I'm probably going to do that again, like a little TV, like video web series. And I loved that, but because I was sort of in control, and it was, and then the whole drama of like, how is she dressed? What's she wearing? What's and like this brand sending you stuff that are sample size, and I'm not a sample size. And so the misery of like having to call them and be like, like all these things that are so soul destroying. Mm-hmm. And one day my body was like, it shut down and started crying. And I was like, I just can't go.
Having your photo taken is a form of currency to a certain extent.
Oh, yeah.
Being in it, staying in it, staying relevant, having the outfit on, reminding people, just showing face, regardless of your outfit, reminding people you're around so that when the next campaign comes up, or we need an illustrator for something, or we need a photographer for something, or, we want to collaborate with an influencer, your name is at the top of their mind. And that is such a is such a crazy rat race that you're throwing and I've done it to a certain extent, in a very small way, but I've seen how it works. You have to throw all of who you are and spend your life actually just doing things that don't make you money to stay relevant for the things that do make you money. And then it becomes your entire life.
Yeah. There is something that I've been pretty good at, and it's look at life as from a distance. And at some point I was like, I am spending about 2 months and a half of 6 months my year and more, because now there is the pre-fall and all these things. So it's probably 3 months all in all of sitting on bench and seeing people that I don't care about. And I was like, I can't live like that. This is too much, a big part of my life. If you say oh, you have to go to you're an actress and you have to go to the Oscars, and it's one day and okay, you play the game and you do that. Or it's I don't know, that season is very short, but that's a lot, and that's a lot of travel. And meanwhile, you're not doing any business. I mean, you are as you were saying, seeing people and shaking hands and meeting new people and all that, but you're not at your office.
You're not actually accomplishing anything.
You're not accomplishing anything because again, I want to say fashion shows used to have a purpose, and they still do for some people, but it's, that's not what I was doing. I was not looking at the new trends. It's just sitting there. And so that's when I stopped doing photos of people and of the shows, I was like, I don't have a mission here. It's time to rethink it.
Has that affected your business?
Not really, but we've also, the truth is, if you think about it, these are not brands that are going to make you money, like Dior and all these brands. This is not where you're going to get your biggest budgets, because they're so, so actually, I think there is so many ways to, be there today. And that's the thing. The good thing is now there is social media and you can be there in many different ways. And that's also why I want to spend a better time thinking about that. And also I put my life first, and my sanity and all that. And I always think about, that at the end of the day, what I want to be is happy, and I want to be creative, and I want to have nice friendships and all these kind of things. And work for me is a part of that, and it should be happy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Do you still struggle with being happy in your work all the time? Have you figured it out?
I haven't figured, as I was saying, it's adjusting all your life.
Always.
I think what I've figured out is, how I want to feel. And if I don't feel like that, I figured out that I have, have to find support. So I think that I'm doing pretty well. But it's been kind of a pretty crazy journey. I think leading to my moving to Los Angeles, I was in a pretty tough spot, personally and professionally, but not the business itself, because we're doing what we want to do and all that, but just how I was relating to work, how I was relating to the people that were around me and all that. So it was, LA has been a very healing place for me.
Cool. Did you move your team here?
No, I didn't. And I was on purpose. I just needed some space.
In 2012, Garance was the co-recipient of the CFDA Eugenia Shepard Media Award. She's the author of the 2015 bestseller Love, Style, Life. She dreams, she does, and then she looks for the next project that's going to be creatively rewarding for her. So what is next for Garance Doré?
It's a very good question we've been asking ourselves, because it's very, and you've been through that, it's very difficult when you go from just sharing things of your life to suddenly becoming kind of a voice, then to transforming into becoming a voice that's also shared by, many different people in a team. We want to talk to a woman about exactly what we're talking about, which is how can she find happiness? How can she find a place of no pressure where she can make her own decision? I think that, and we do that through, obviously all the portraits of women we do, but also through, now we have retreats. And so we do creative retreats where you can connect with your creativity, connect with yourself, and help women with that. So we don't really have a sentence for that, but I would say to me that's always been my mission, because I've been struggling so much all my life with that pressure to be accomplished, whatever the fuck that means. And like that pressure to be, even like, you know, when your book came out, I was like, I hope women don't understand that, don't take it as like, you have to be a girl boss or like, you have to be a boss, you know, because like, it's like, it's not what's going to make every woman happy. Some women like to be a great employee, you know, and they do a great job, and at 6 they're done, and you know, like
I'm envious. I want that.
So that's the mission, and the same with like personal life. I just wrote a letter on Lenny Letter about, you know, my struggle with fertility and the pressure that I felt to be, you know, that accomplished woman will have a baby and all that. And how people were like, don't stop, like keep doing it. I was like, no, that's it. I'm done.
So you did IVF?
Yeah, I did IVF once, and I suffered a lot. I think I have, how do you say, PTSD? And my boyfriend and I were like, well, maybe like we just don't want to do it anymore. You know, we're either going to find other ways, or we're just going to accept what life's sending to us.
It's very expensive.
But you know if you read it, what I really want to talk about is that why did I feel such a giant pressure to be a mom, and like try to like separate what, you know, people want from me. Because like, you know, having a blog, it's like, I'm 42. It's been like 10 years that people are like, so when are you going to have a baby?
What?
You're almost happy. You know, it would be perfect now if you had a baby. I don't know if you have to deal with comments in the way that I do. Because
when I got married, but that only lasted a year, so people didn't really say much. People were like congratulating me about my wedding while I was going through a divorce. It was so soon after. But no, I don't think people see me as I think people are surprised when I say that I want to be a mom, because I'm not like, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like a little,
so funny.
Maybe like more harsher. Maybe it's because I work so much and they think that would be like a bad idea. I don't know.
No, I had that. I had like, so when I got engaged like 2 years ago, which is really funny because I'm also not married, and people are like, so when are you getting married? And I'm like, I'm happy engaged.
Like endless.
And so they were like, oh, you have everything now. The only thing that's missing for you is that perfect little baby in your hands. And I'm like, what the fuck? Stop.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I do want to be a mom, but I also like, maybe I don't, and maybe I'm fine with that. And, you know, and I don't think people do that. They're not mean. They're just, that's their way of seeing things. And like so I really wanted to talk about that. And so that's definitely one of my, missions, is to explain that it's okay to just do you.
Tell me about the retreat you have coming up.
Yeah. So it's in November, which is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I've always wanted to, you know, my education was such a crap, like mistake over mistake over mistake. Like it was like bad. Like I wanted to be an artist since like I was 2, and the school system didn't support that. My parents didn't support that, and nothing. And I always was like, one day I want to open a school that can help people to find their way. And that I also had, my grandma was illiterate. How do you say, like she couldn't read?
Oh wow, yeah.
And so I always thought that she was so smart, and maybe if she would have been able to read, she could have not been a cleaning lady, you know? All these things have always made a sort of education for me very important. And so the way I can do it today is just like give what I've learned to other women, and like share with like, you know, other speakers that are coming to the retreat. And so that's what we're doing. It's just the first iteration of, you know, so probably a little bit like your mission is just like, what did I learn? How can I help other women, other people, not just women, because I think men also have to be helped in some way. And that retreat is going to be, the subject is around storytelling. I think, you know, most of the people who've signed up have a brand, and they want to, you know, learn probably how to further that, and how to make it more interesting, and how to tell stories around their brands, because today, as you know, the story is about everything. And so that's what we're doing for the first one, but there's going to be different angles for each retreat. And it's going to be kind of a little bit like the blog and Atelier has always been, depending on where we want to go, who we meet, what we're inspired by at this moment.
Cool. Have you eaten at Napoleon and Josephine?
Sorry?
There's one Corsican restaurant in Los Angeles. Have you eaten there?
No, I have to go.
It is on Melrose.
Yes, I've heard about it.
I've eaten there a million times.
You have?
It's really sweet, and the food's pretty good. And yeah, and it's like next to a tattoo shop and across from like some place called Leggings World. It's in like a part of Melrose that like you wouldn't expect like a really charming restaurant, but
I have to go.
It's really
Can you
good.
imagine? I've never been.
So one of the big things that that we're exploring with Girl Boss is this concept of success, you know, as someone who, you know, I've been like, you know, considered successful at certain points in my career. I think I'm earning it again. You've accomplished so much. And, you know, people think it's this thing that's like financial or career, and we want to kind of redefine it for ourselves. And so I'm just curious, what do you think the word success means?
To me, it's many things, but like, well, I've always been on a very deep, and I think that's what's going to come out more and more in my work now. I've always been on a very deep quest of finding myself and healing from, you know, the wounds of my childhood and of my mom's childhood. And I think there is like a real, I don't know how to say, like, I think I'm in my family, I'm a sort of like, I'm shifting stuff, like I'm moving them into a different place. And so to me, success is that, sense of healing myself and finding why I'm here and all that. So that's my when I'm doing that work, I know that I'm in an important place. I think my family has, like any family in the world, has gone through so much, and you know, you kind of like we're born and given all that weight and all these stories and all these things. And so to me, like on a deep level, that success is like, you know, not going through life with all that weight. And that's why I think I would be a good mom, because like I've done so much work, because like, you know, I feel so much lighter than a few years back, and done so much work on that. So that to me is really important. And it's funny because for years I thought I was being, like, how do you say, like selfish,
Indulgent,
you know,
yeah.
indulgent, exactly, indulgent. And now I'm like, no, fuck it, I'm just doing everything, and I feel better, and I know
I need to do that. Like I'm at a turning point where I'm like, all right, got divorced, went bankrupt, started another company, in a new relationship, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't like done the hard work, you know. And so just kind of keeps, you can't outrun it. You just can't outrun it. And
it's gonna catch up.
I want to be a good mom someday.
Yeah,
but I don't.
You will. I mean,
what did you do? What have you done in the last couple of years?
Therapy when I was like the classic, you know, psychotherapy when I was like 11. So all my life kept going. It helped me a lot, noticeably when I started having anxiety attacks when I was like 25 or 26. And now at some point I got tired of talking about myself like that, because it's, you know, therapy is one way, you know, you talk about your past and your mom and what your dad did. And I was very tired of that. So now I'm also very interested in like healing my body. And so there's many things, but right now it's going through food. I've just stopped eating sugar, and I realized that it's not only helping me so much. There is diabetes in my family, which is also something that I think works on the psychological level as well as like the physical level. I just can't separate both anymore. But I also do hypnotherapy, which is amazing. I'm going to do craniosacral therapy, I think next week. Like, I'm just trying new things, and LA is great for that because everybody's here.
Yeah. Pardon the interruption, but hey, podcast lover, check out her podcast, Pardon My French, where I'll be a guest very soon. Before she left, I asked Garance to tell me about her most recent Girl Boss moment.
I think like the most recent was yesterday evening. I was working on some interview questions, and in my room, because I work from home, and then I went to my studio spot, like my how do you say, like office, and the sun was coming down, like the night was coming up, and I was alone, and I was working on some interesting things where I was like, I want to change, like a thing that I'm very tired about, that I completely want to change. And you know, when you get tired of something, you do it out of obligation. And I've been doing that out of obligation for too long. And I was just talking with my agent and my partner, and I was like, I want to like just like, you know, start at zero. And I was alone there, and I was like, wow, it's just like those moments of excitement when you have new ideas and you're like, you know, anytime I get rid of something that feels heavy, I have to like recommend that to anyone. Like just keep in check. And I don't know, you didn't ask me for advice, but like keep in check with the things that feel forced and heavy, because usually that's when you lose so much energy leak, you know, where you're like, why am I exhausted? That's because you do that stuff and it's exhausting. You're not excited doing it. So yesterday I got excited again for 5 minutes and I was like, okay, I have the thread, you know, from that thread, I'm going to be able to pull something that's beautiful and new and exciting again. So that was a good moment.
For more of Garance, check out her website, atelierDoré.com, and on her podcast, Pardon My French. Thanks for listening. Please join us next week for another episode.